Dell Remote Access Controller or DRAC is an interface card from Dell Inc. which provides out-of-band management facilities. Features: the controller has its own processor, memory, network connection, and access to the system bus. Key features include power management, virtual media access and remote console capabilities, all available through a supported web browser or command line interface. This gives system administrators the ability to configure a machine as if they were sitting at the local console. The DRAC interfaces with baseboard management controller chips is based on the Intelligent Platform Management Interface 2.0 standard, which allows use of IPMI out-of-band interfaces such as IPMI over LAN. Versions: the Dell Remote Access Controllers and the integrated Dell Remote Access Controllers come in different versions, where a new DRAC version is often linked to a new generation of PowerEdge servers. The hardware part is now often integrated on the motherboard of the server, and the combined product is termed iDRAC, where the I is for integrated. The standard version of iDRAC, the software/hardware, is piggybacked onto one of the server's onboard network interfaces using a unique IP address. When the optional enterprise version of iDRAC has been enabled, it is connected to its own iDRAC network interface. The iDRAC version 7 was introduced in conjunction with the release of Dell PowerEdge Generation 12 servers in March 2012, and is only available on 12th generation models. Unlike previous versions, the functionality of iDRAC 7 is the same for rack, tower and blade servers. An overview of the different versions: power management. With the DRAC enabled and using its own separate network connection, a user may log in and reboot the system even if the core operating system has crashed. If the operating system has loaded the correct drivers, the DRAC will attempt to shut down the system gracefully. Without this feature and with the system running, administrators can use the remote console to access the operating system too. Remote console. The remote console features of the DRAC allow an administrator to interface with the computer as if sitting in front of it, and one can share the local inputs from keyboard and mouse as well as video output. Remote console capability relies on an ActiveX or Java plugin, which displays a window showing the video output on the local terminal and which takes mouse and keyboard input. This behavior closely resembles that of other remote access solutions such as VNC or RDP, but also works if the operating system of the server doesn't work anymore. It is used to take the server console remotely. Virtual media. The DRAC enables a user to mount remotely shared disk images as if they were connected to the system. In combination with a remote console, this gives administrators the ability to completely reinstall an operating system, a task which traditionally required local console access to the physical machine. Administrators can control virtual media through the browser or through the Open Manage tools provided by Dell, though specific versions of browsers restrict some functionality. Access. The main DRAC management takes place via a web interface. All generations of the DRAC use the default username root and the default password Calvin. Starting with the DRAC 3, Microsoft Active Directory can also provide authentication either with Dell AD schema extensions or standard schema. Implementation. The DRAC 5 and iDRAC 6 and higher are embedded platforms running Linux and BusyBox. The firmware source code is available on the Dell website, however it is not possible to compile the source into a replacement firmware as Dell does not include a build environment. The DRAC provides remote access to the system console, allowing the system BIOS to be accessed over the Internet when the server is rebooted. This is done by configuring the system BIOS to send its output to a serial port. The chosen serial port is then redirected to the DRAC's serial port. Users can then log into the DRAC via SSH and run a command to connect the SSH session to the serial port, thus allowing the console to be accessed over the Internet. Earlier versions of the DRAC used ActiveX to provide a remote console interface in a web browser, however this was unpopular with non-Windows users who could not install the software. The latest revision of the DRAC 6 uses a Java application instead. However, both the DRAC 5 and iDRAC 6 also provided the aforementioned platform-independent SSH access. iDRAC 6 details. iDRAC 6 is available in two levels, iDRAC 6 Express and iDRAC 6 Enterprise. iDRAC 6 Express is now a standard offering on Dell unregistered trademark S Enterprise class servers. Certain features are not available for the Express version, including the remote console functionality. As with iDRAC, iDRAC 6 Enterprise is a standard offering on Blade servers. iDRAC 6 offers 3 upgrades, iDRAC 6 Express, iDRAC 6 Enterprise, and VFLASH Media. iDRAC 6 offers power budgeting. iDRAC 6 Enterprise unregistered trademark S Virtual Console and Virtual Media features are now integrated into a single plugin. iDRAC 6 Enterprise unregistered trademark S Virtual Console now allows two users to collaborate on the same server. iDRAC 6 now allows customers to view what is on the server LCD without a server-side visit. iDRAC 6 supports IPv6, Generation 12, iDRAC 7, 4. The Generation 12 servers, introduced in March 2012, Dell released iDRAC 7 for these servers. iDRAC 7 won't work on earlier generation servers, although some of the new functions introduced with iDRAC 7 will also be offered in new software releases for iDRAC 6. On March 6, 2012, software version 1.00.00 for the iDRAC 7 was released to the public. As of May 2014, the current version is 1.56.55. With the introduction of iDRAC 7, the licensing model has changed. iDRAC 7 now supports Lifecycle Controller. Some features of Lifecycle Controller are licensed, and to access those features via iDRAC, the correct licenses for those functions need to be enabled. Supported hardware platforms, iDRAC 7 runs on Generation 12 servers. Per introduction in March 2012, the following servers are using iDRAC 7, PowerEdge T620, tower model of 620, can be converted to 5U rack system, PowerEdge R320, native rack server, 1U high, PowerEdge R420, native rack server, 1U high, PowerEdge R520, native rack server, 2U high, PowerEdge R620, native rack server, 1U high, PowerEdge M620, Blade server for M1000D enclosure, a 1/2 height, PowerEdge R720, rack server, 2 rack units, PowerEdge R720. XDA R720 with additional 2.5 inches hard drive bays in the rear of the enclosure. Supported operating systems, iDRAC 7 is supported by the following operating systems: Microsoft Windows Server 2012, x64, Microsoft Windows Server 2008 SP2, x86 and x64, Microsoft Windows Server 2008 A2 SP1, x64, Microsoft Small Business Server 2011, x64, SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 10 and 11, x64, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, 5.8 and 6.1. Red Hat Enterprise Linux, 6.3, Microsoft Hyper-V and Hyper-V R2, VMware ESXi 4.1, Update 2, VMware ESXi 5 Patch 01, Citrix Zen Server 6, supported web browsers. The GUI for iDRAC 7 uses a web browser, and Java IE7, IE8 and IE9 as well as Firefox 6+7 have been tested for different operating systems. Limitations: to take advantage of storage greater than 256 MB on the iDRAC 6 Enterprise, Dell requires that a V-Flash SD card be procured through Dell channels. As of December 2011, Dell V-Flash SD cards differ from consumer SD cards by being over-provisioned by 100% for increased write endurance and performance. While there are no other known functional differences between a Dell-branded V-Flash SD and a Class II or greater SDHC card, the use of non-Dell media prevents the use of extended capacities and functions. On a Linux client system, the standard arrow and print screen keys cannot be used in the iDRAC 6 Java Virtual Console application because of some incompatible key event IDs, however the arrow keys on the numeric keypad can still be used. Some combinations of DRAC firmware, web browser, and Java runtime do not support virtual media via the JavaPlet or the plugin in DRAC 5 and iDRAC 6. See also, out-of-band management, references. External links. Available manuals for iDRAC 7, Dell Remote Access Controller 6, Dell Remote Access Controller 5 version 1.20, DRAC 2.3 product info from Dell, Dell Remote Access Controller user guides, managing out-of-band management in InfoWorld, Dell DRAC 5 Remote SSH console redirection, Dell DRAC password management software by Lieberman Software Corporation.